Hi, my name is Melissa Schlemmer, and this is what I do in a day as a primary caregiver for my son who is disabled and medically complex. My alarm goes off at 6 a.m. every morning. And if I'm lucky, that is the first time I'm getting out of bed since the night before, but we all know that is never the case. Our son struggles with sleep in general, so oftentimes he's up a few times during the evening, occasionally needs one of us to lay with him, or he needs us to take his TLSO off, his brace for his scoliosis, or it's because he has a G-tube and a J-tube. And the G-tube, we empty his stomach contents 24 hours a day, so if that gets kinked, he wakes up gagging, retching, vomiting. And then his J-tube is where we feed him all of his nutrition, hydration, and medications. And if that gets kinked, his pump is going to beep an alarm and tell us, hey, there's no flow. The first thing I do when my alarm goes off is I head downstairs and I grab one of his medications. He's currently in a clinical drug trial, so he needs that medication at certain increments of time throughout the day. So that's the first med I draw up and I give to him, and then I head back downstairs to turn on my coffee pot. I try to enjoy a cup of coffee while checking my messages on social media, sending video messages to friends using an app on my phone. And if you are a caregiver or know a caregiver, the isolation and loneliness can be a thing. So staying connected to other friends has really helped my mental health, and just even virtually, it really goes a long way. So I enjoy my cup of coffee and I check my social media and check up on all of my friends. And then I start drawing up the rest of Christopher's morning medications. So I draw up the rest of his meds, and if he's still sleeping, I will just go administer them one at a time. Because he has a J-tube, he is volume sensitive, so I don't do all of his medication at once. And I typically will go give him a med and come back downstairs, do something else, and repeat until all of his medication is done. And if he's still sleeping, it's great. I can get a lot more things done. I can get his food bag ready for the day. He gets a combination of formula and Pedialyte to keep up on his electrolytes. So I'll finish doing that, and then I will wipe down everything that I need to wipe down. I can wipe down his mat, all of his equipment, everything that needs to be clean for him for the day gets wiped down while he's still sleeping. My alarm will go off at 8 o'clock typically, just to make sure all of the other medication that I did is done and over with. 8 o'clock. My other son happens to get a medication at 8 o'clock because I have a younger son who is recently been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So not only do I have Christopher, who is dependent on me for all of his activities of daily living, and I now have my younger son who is going through some medical issues himself. After I get Christopher out of bed, I do have to transfer him out of bed. I lift him out of bed and I carry him downstairs where I have everything laid out to get him prepared for school. I have new extensions, a drain bag, the dressing that I put around his stoma, any skincare things that I need to do for him, a new brief, and clothes, his AFOs, everything that he needs to get out the door for school. So I get him all dressed and ready for school, and in the mix is usually breakfast for the other boys and things that I need to do for my other kids, make their lunches, get everybody's teeth brushed, etc. By 8:45, we are out the door and heading to school. I drop the other boys off first, and then Christopher heads to his school. I drop him off, and then I get to head home and have 2 hours and 45 minutes to myself. This is the time I can spend on hold with insurance companies, with the pharmacy, get all of my paperwork done that I need to do for the county, catch up on emails, do all of his MyChart messages or his portal messages that need to be handled with his specialist, make appointments, make sure we're up on our appointments. Also, I can organize all of his med supplies, do a little inventory, make sure we have everything that we need for the month, things like that. I can also get all of my household duties done during this time. It's not a lot of time and it ends up going really fast. Okay, so I grabbed Christopher from school at noon. He has a shortened school day just due to his diagnosis and his inability to handle a full day of school. But this is a great time to bring him to an appointment if I need to, go to a therapy appointment, or we just head home and get a lot of things done that we can get done together before the other boys come home from school. I like to get Christopher in his standing frame. If he hasn't done it at school, I'll put him in a standing frame for about an hour when he gets home. We do a lot of learning activities, a lot of modeling with his AAC device, a lot of books. Christopher could be read to from sun up to sundown. If that was an option, he would never complain about that. At 2 o'clock, my alarm will alarm again to give him his afternoon medications. So I will administer his afternoon medications. I'll make sure his food bag is filled up with formula. And I think it just goes without saying that during this entire day, I'm assessing him for seizures, low blood sugar, keeping him fresh and clean because he's not potty trained. There are just things that I do with him that are just automatic that I don't even realize that I am doing. Just because I've been his primary caregiver his whole life, I know his nuances. I know when he looks strange. I know when he's about to throw up. I can predict it. A certain noise that he makes, I know I need to run and grab a towel because he's about to throw up. There's just things that I know about him that I know it's hard to explain, but I know nobody else would know just because he and I know each other so well. So I'm doing all that throughout the day. But after the 2 o'clock medications, we do more activities, whatever we want to do. Home therapy, more bench sitting, fine motor skills, gross motor skills, all of that we get done before we have to grab everybody from school. So we pick everybody else up at school at 3:45 and head home. And this is the time I like to get Christopher in his robotic walking legs. He has these robotic legs that help him upright, and they do a gait pattern so he can walk on a treadmill while I get dinner ready. I can see him, he is directly in my line of sight, so while I prepare dinner, he's getting his steps in. Okay, after dinner is a bit of chaos. It is a lot of ball throwing in the house, Legos, coloring, just a lot of activity with the whole entire family. We try to get outside if we can, take a walk around the block, and just enjoy time together. My alarm will go off again, one at 6 p.m. for my other son for his medication, and Christopher's at 7:30 for his medication. I will start drawing up his medication and set it down on the counter to wait, because then I can take him up to his shower and get him ready for bed. I'll get his brace shirt on, his pajamas, his extensions, everything that he needs to be ready for bed. So I'll administer all of his meds, he's ready for bed. His last one is at 8 p.m. That's his sleep medication to help him get to sleep and hopefully stay asleep. Once he's a bit drowsy, we carry him upstairs, get him in his bed, and get his nighttime feed bag ready, hook him up to that, empty his drainage bag if that needs emptying, and just get him ready to be asleep for the evening. My alarm will go off one more time. It will go off at 10 p.m. to administer one last medication for him. And if I am smart, after I give him that medication, I myself will head off to bed, because I know I will be rinse, repeat, and doing everything all over again the next day.